Hi, T. Carlson here. I've reviewed a lot of the Death Wish movies on this channel before, and so today I thought I'd try something a little different. I'm going to rank all 6 of the Death Wish movies from bottom to top. There were 5 original movies with Charles Bronson, plus a remake that starred Bruce Willis in 2018. Without further ado, let's get started. At the absolute bottom of the list, I have Death Wish 5, The Face of Death. It's so sad that this was the final Death Wish film made starring Charles Bronson prior to him passing away. The villains in this are the most generic, by-the-book mobsters you can ask for. The body count is surprisingly low for a Death Wish movie, and it's just not fun at all. There's just not much that I like about this movie. A step up, at number 5 on the list, I have Death Wish 3. This one is ridiculous, over the top, and about as far from the original concept Brian Garfield had in mind as you can imagine, but it's still a lot of fun to watch. There's no semblance of reality or anything believable whatsoever, but if this one's ever on TV and I catch it, I can't turn myself away. Number 4 on the list, I have Death Wish 4, The Crackdown. This one takes on a slightly more interesting element, and it was certainly the down-to-earth movie that was needed after Death Wish 3, taking a cue from the Yojimbo and Fistful of Dollars playbook, with Paul Kersey pitting 2 rival gangs against one another, only to find there's a pretty big plot twist later in the movie that completely flips things on their heads. This movie doesn't quite live up to its potential. For instance, the love interest is certainly very underdeveloped and underused, but I do like this one fairly well, and I do wish it got talked about a little more. Number 3 on the list, I have Death Wish, the 2018 remake starring Bruce Willis. This movie did not receive the best reviews from critics, but the film itself is actually not bad. I would actually rank this above most of the Charles Bronson starring sequels. Bruce Willis plays a pretty convincing everyman-turned-vigilante, and he gets some great supporting parts from the likes of Elizabeth Shue and Vincent D'Onofrio, because the movie actually sort of looks at this argument from both sides. I'm not saying this is an intelligent film by any means, but it's certainly more entertaining than it had the right to be. 2 on the list, I have Death Wish 2. This was the sequel to the original 1974 film. It is not based on Brian Garfield's sequel novel, and that's probably best because that novel was lackluster at best. The original screenplay that was come up with here was, of course, the first of the films in the series produced by Canon Films, and it's a little more personal and grounded of a story here because it's Paul Kersey wanting revenge against the people who wronged his daughter. And there are some great moments in this one, some memorable characters. You had a very young Lawrence Fishburne sporting bright pink sunglasses. Of all the sequels, I would have to say this is my favorite one. But the number 1 best Death Wish film of all time, of course, would have to be Death Wish, the original 1974 film. This was a time when New York City was certainly a gritty, violent place to live, and you see one man's life turned upside down when his family is a victim of crime, and what he ends up turning to try to turn the tide and make things better in the city. And you even start to see copycat vigilantes, and there's a big debate, of course, as to whether this man is a hero or an outlaw. It remains a personal favorite of mine all these years later, and certainly my favorite film in this series. How about you? What do you think the best Death Wish film is? What do you think the worst one is? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content. I'm always posting new videos. And make sure you give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm Taylor T. Carlson. I'll see you next time.